Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Finweek Money Matters. Remember that this is the show that helps you manage your finances. I'm Dumisho Greater. Coming up on the show today, we take a look at the impact of the depressed Chinese economy and what this could mean for South Africa. Then we'll be talking about ArcelorMittal's share price. And finally, as Sunday is Women's Day, we talk about women in business. But before we do all of that, do remember that we welcome your comments and any feedback that you may have for us. Send it through to moneymatters@abn360.com. But first, let's take a look at the punt of the week. From an average share price of 80 Rand 4 years ago to one hovering at around 15 Rand, ArcelorMittal South Africa, the largest metal producer in Africa, seems to be yet another mining company falling victim to an oversupply in the global steel market. This among other things. But for more perspective on this, I'm joined by Finweek contributor Moxima Gama to discuss the prospects for this particular company. Moxima, welcome. The AMSA or ArcelorMittal South Africa share price has been under pressure. Maybe give us some context as to what have been some of the key issues that have been keeping it under pressure.
Sure, Dumisha, there's been a lot that's been on the plate. I mean, it was the slipping steel prices, as well as just a global oversupply, like you said, and it's just also the company woes, like a bad set of results, losses, and not forgetting the dispute with Kumba, which obviously heavily did impact the share price. And another thing that they have to now fathom is they having to decide on the operation in Vanderbijl Park, which employs about 4,500 workers. So there's quite a lot, and this inevitably has affected the share price. So it has plummeted actually from very high levels because of that, if you could see on the chart itself.
Do you think that they could ever recover, and where do you think it may bottom out?
I'm absolutely fond of shares that have hit rock bottom because they have a lot of upside potential when they do recover. And ArcelorMittal is showing some flickers of hope because, I mean, it's really fallen to levels tested in about a couple of years back. So we do see a bit of, I do see a bit of an upside potential there, particularly above that 15 mark. And then you could see it headed towards around 27. Now, the idea here is to buy it at every, as it goes up. So you're actually buying it against the grain. So you're buying it within the bear trend. So that's why it's better to nibble instead of going aggressively long. And obviously above 30 Rand, that would then confirm a breakout of its long-term bear trend, and this could see it test prior highs. So it is showing us a bit of hope, but we need to just tread carefully on it. But breaking out of that steeper bear trend means that there is some upside potential within at least the short term.
Moxima, during the course of the week, we did see a rally in the particular share price, and a lot of market commentators were saying that we can attribute this movement to the upside due to talks that we may be looking at an import duty in order to protect the local steel industry. Would this work?
It would. I mean, let's wait and see. It's just there needs to be very strict implementation in that import duty. And I think at this point, we also need to be careful on whose toes we step on. But I mean, there are other ways for them to also just try and recoup their earnings. Is they are a seaborne type of industry, so they import their oil on the sea, and the dropping oil prices could benefit them tremendously with their shipping costs. So, like I said, it has fallen quite a lot, and now sentiment is warming up, and any speck of good news would then push the price up. So my call is pretty much on a sentiment based rather. So 15 would be your mark, above at least 16. Above that, we could see further upside in the short term. So I wouldn't really discount it merely because it's really cheap at current levels.
Moxima, thanks so much for that insight. As always, that was Finweek contributor Moxima Gama. Up next, we'll be unpacking this week's cover story.